A lovely good morning to you, our dear viewers. Thank you for finding time to be with us on the Camnet Breakfast Show. I'm Patrick Soko, and we together will be together up to the hour of 9 hours to discuss various pertinent issues that are happening across the country. And to just kickstart the program, we'll start with our very first segment we always call the morning booster, so that we get exercising early in the morning. So we go straight into the morning booster. We'll be back on the other side. Stay tuned.
Hello guys, it's another edition. Today we are doing chest. It's your boy Harrison, aka the Fitness Puppy, here at Chonze Fitness in conjunction with the Camnet Fitness team. And today I'm going to show you the chest. It's a home workout. And by the way, don't forget to get yourself Chonze Fitness gym attire. It's all the way here in Kablonga. And let's go. Get ready? Okay. So first you start with the push-ups, the straight push-ups, 12 to 15 reps. We go. So make sure that your whole body is straight as you are going up, as you are going down and up. Doing a superset. After this, I'm doing a knee push-up, 15. After this, we are doing a box push-up, 15 again. Get ready. Okay, you take a chill for just seconds, for probably 20 seconds, to relax yourself. If you want, you get yourself some water. Okay, you relax, 20 seconds. Okay, you go again for another round. We were doing 15, now we've reduced to 12. So if you have time, you can go up to 5 repetitions. We go, body straight, and go. Let's go. Knee push-ups, 12. Let's go. Box push-up, 12. 2 more. Okay, you take a chill. Okay, so you can also go for 5 repetition. Then after that, you do your stretch. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we are done. You have been with me, Harrison, aka the Fitness Papi. See you next time.
When it heals, it beats for you. You know it's forward, but it's true. You know my thoughts are running loose. It's just the thing you make me do. Like a fight me, what's the use? I know I'd go back to you. I wanna hold you when I'm not supposed to.
Well, there you have it. We always say that exercising is important to ensure good and quality health. So just make sure you do find that time to exercise, and we help you out every time on the Camnet Breakfast Show through the morning, the health, the morning booster to help you just see how you can do some of the drills as instructed by the experts. And it is important that we stay away from non-communicable diseases that are affecting people across the globe. It is quite delicate that it's not just communicable diseases that are affecting human beings, but we are seeing that the aspect of poor health lifestyles has also contributed to the aspect of bad health, or let me say non-communicable diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, among others. So let's just keep fit, especially early in the morning, even by the time before we go to sleep. Let's just do those exercises. It is important that we keep healthy. Remember, a healthy nation is a wealth nation. So talking about health, we go straight into our next segment, which is the Health Corner with Dr. Mufaya. Keep it on Camnet.
Hi, good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubiana Mfaya. So this week we are talking about rickets, a condition that affects children as low as 3 months, even up to adolescent age. And we have been talking about some of the signs and symptoms of rickets, and we also talked about the causes of rickets. So rickets is a condition where there is softening of the bones and weakening of the bones due to a lack of vitamin D. It's caused by not having vitamin D from the food that we eat, if our diet is lacking vitamin D, and also if the child is not being exposed to the sun, because our skin is able to make vitamin D when exposed to the sun. We say that some of the symptoms of rickets are that they would have delayed growth, and they would also have changes or deformities in the bones, and so you would be able to see a curvature in some of the bones, and you'd be able to see a thickening of the bones. Now, how is rickets diagnosed and how is it treated? How can you treat? Is it treatable? Are you able to treat rickets? So rickets in the hospital, if you are found to have rickets, usually they would have to do some tests to be able to confirm the diagnosis, because we want to know how the body is functioning. We would need to check your calcium levels, your phosphate levels, and we also need to check how your parathyroid hormones are working, because when your body is not having enough of these calcium in the body, then it will try to reabsorb the calcium from the bones, and this is done by the parathyroid hormone. So there are some hormones that are also checked to see how they are functioning, just so we know how the body is functioning. We also need to check the kidneys as well and the liver, how are they functioning, because they can also tell us if there is a malabsorption or if there is a problem with the way our bodies are absorbing or utilizing calcium in the body. So how is this treated? Before I talk about the treatment, there is also another test that can be done, and that is X-ray. We can order for X-rays just to check how the bones are looking. Are they curved, and are there any other bone deformities in the body? So we would order for some X-rays to be done on the child, just so we can see if there are any bone deformities and where exactly are those bone deformities. So how is it treated? So with treatment, usually you would have the child would have to be given vitamin D. And there are different doses that are used to treat vitamin D based on whether the child will receive only one dose. It can be given as one dose only, where the child only receives this vitamin D once, and over time the child will start recovering. Usually, if it's a deficiency in the diet, then the child will recover quite quickly in a period of even up to 24 months. But if there are other conditions as well that are affecting the child, then it might take even longer. But you'll be able to see changes in the child even as soon as within 7 days. You'll be able to see the child starting to recover because after receiving the treatment of vitamin D. And so vitamin D is given as a dose, once off dose, or it can even be given weekly over a period of time. And so the mainstay of treatment is you getting vitamin D. There are some other supplements that can be given, like calcium supplements, and if there are other conditions as well, they can be addressed if you go to the hospital. And so this is how the rickets is treated in the hospital. Also, if there are some deformities in the bones that need to be corrected, then some operations can be done to correct those deformities, especially if they're affecting the long bones, such as the legs and the arms, and even the back. If the back is affected, they can also do some surgeries to be able to correct the deformities in the back as well. And so this is how rickets is treated in the hospital. And so it's important that if you notice anyone who has this condition, a child who has this condition, you take them to the hospital for medical treatment, because we need to be able to have healthy children in our communities. And so make sure that you take your child to the hospital to get checked and to be able to receive treatment. So today we are learning about the diagnosis and treatment of rickets, and we say that rickets can be diagnosed by checking how the body is functioning, the amount of calcium in the body, the amount of phosphate in the body, and also how the liver and the kidneys are functioning. Then we can also treat rickets with vitamin D, mostly because that is the main cause of rickets. And so we give the vitamin D, and the child will be able to start recovering after receiving the treatment. I do hope you have learned something, and please make sure that you watch The Breakfast Show. And also you can check out my YouTube channel, where I post these videos for your own convenience. You can watch them at any time, and you can find them at Dr. Nakubiana Mfaya on YouTube, and you can be able to learn more about these conditions that we talk about here on The Breakfast Show. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow.
there you have it. That was the Health Corner with Dr. Mufaya. They are quite an interesting topic, diagnosis and treatment of rickets. We hope you managed to learn one or two things on how you can diagnose as well as treat rickets. It is a manageable condition, and in case you missed, you can still go on our Facebook page and follow the Breakfast Show and still catch up with the Health Corner. And the Health Corner is equally up for grabs in terms of sponsorship. You can come on board so that we can continue to produce this important segment. And let's also now look at how the kwacha is performing against other major convertible currencies. So let's start. We start with the Great British Pound, which is buying at 23 kwacha 74 ngwe and selling at 24 kwacha 20 ngwe, and the $1 is buying at 19 kwacha 72 ngwe and selling at 20 kwacha 11 ngwe. The euro is buying at 21 kwacha 06 ngwe and selling at 21 kwacha 47 ngwe. The South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 09 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 11 ngwe. So those are your money markets. You can see how the kwacha has been depreciating over a period, over time. We saw it perform better. That was in 2021, in 2022 rather, towards the end, from September up to December. But however, we are seeing that it has been on a downward trajectory in terms of depreciating, and this is not good for the economy that is highly affected by the debt burden. So you too, our dear viewers, can join the conversation on the Breakfast Show by giving us your views and perspective on this subject we are discussing. Quite an interesting subject because it matters on everything that we do. The question we are asking is, should the government increase the price of fuel at once or continue with the monthly review of the fuel pump price? So that is the question we are asking, and we are getting your perspective as viewers to give us what you think, because others have been of the view that it is not conducive that we continue increasing on a monthly basis. The government should just come up with a decision and say we want to be selling a liter at 100 kwacha, a liter at 50 kwacha, a liter at 20 kwacha, 30 kwacha. But that decision should be made so that people can be allowed to mourn once and for all, as opposed to mourning on a monthly basis, complaining about this fuel price, which continues to affect the cost of living, because every time we see a rise in the fuel pump price, commodities tend to increase, and that is not conducive for an economy which is highly informal and most also grappling with high unemployment levels. So we are seeing that the prices of the bus fares rather are increasing as a result of these adjustments. We are seeing that the commodities are reducing in terms of groceries. It is not now. It is not conducive, and most people still cannot afford because of the same challenges that we are observing. And let's just get to zoom in one of the interesting stories so that we can get to discuss these other stories. As we zoom in the stories, you two, our viewers, will be giving us your perspective on this matter. So let's start with a story, interestingly, where the governing United Party for National Development, UPND, has disclosed that through the help of the party leadership in the diaspora, has embarked on a program of helping party cadres who were victims of political violence. UPND Lusaka Province Deputy Youth Spokesperson Phineas Pumulo says it is not true that the party has abandoned youths who were injured during the political activities. However, before we zoom in that story, we'll play it back to back with a story that we had that is on Tuesday, where we saw the increase of fuel prices, and that's a recall of the ERB. We get to zoom in those two stories. We'll be back on the other side. Keep it on Camnet.
The negative consequences of political violence are there for people to see, as the vice deprives the victims of the ability to sustain their livelihoods, subjects the family to poverty and misery, especially when the person involved is a breadwinner. In modern day politics, Many political cadres have suffered injustice through extrajudicial killings, like in the case of Lawrence Banda. Others have died due to mob justice, with some left with permanent scars from gunshots. Stories of UPND cadres who sacrificed for the party being abandoned in the past have been eminent. Peter Masani, who was shot on the buttocks at the Lusaka High Court grounds in 2016 when he escorted President Hakainde Hichilema during the hearing of the presidential petition, shares that life has been difficult.
The guy was shot 2016 kanya petition ya president Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. And then pasa solidarity our president Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. Ndine muntu nina bullet mabatax kumbuyo. Apa nyonga siko mochipancha montani zako. According me, I'm a minibus driver. I'm a driver. So I was in Mankara for less than 2 hours or 30 minutes. Because in Mambila Kachat, Kavukura Vich, and Aukadi. Then sometimes in the morning in Mambila Kwendoi, Imonga is paralyzed. Yankala week.
However, the party, through its members in the United States of America, has opted to assist victims of political violence, and Mr. Masani is happy to be among the early beneficiaries as he received 17,000 kwacha.
According to what Israel, there's more than a lot of people. Someone who died, according to my friend Peter, we were living with a bullet in the end. We are different injuries. So, don't give up.
And UPND Lusaka Province Deputy Youth Spokesperson Phineas Pumulo says it is not true that the party had abandoned youths who were injured and families who lost their loved ones during political activities, saying all those affected will be taken care of.
Either like Peter Masani, who is living with a bullet. We have given him 17,000 kwacha, and we have given again 3 of our youths in Western Province 17,000 kwacha each. We have also gone ahead and given 2 of our youths in Copperbelt Province 17,000 kwacha each. We are going across the whole 10 provinces to make sure that all those who were injured during the campaigns are helped. We want to take this opportunity also to appeal to our youths to desist from going to social media and start issuing unnecessary statement. We want to appeal to those youths who are in a habit of issuing a statement without the authority of the National Youth Chairman or the Secretary General, that they are going to be punished.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Has adjusted the pump price of petrol upwards by 1 kwacha 13 weight per litre, while the pump prices of diesel and kerosene have remained unchanged. Further, the ERB has also maintained the retail and post-airfield prices for Jet A1 at Kenneth Kaunda International Airports and other local airports unchanged. In the previous price review for February 2023, the average prices of petrol, diesel, and kerosene on the international market were $87.95 per barrel, $108.96 per barrel, $108.66 per barrel respectively, compared to $92.58 per barrel, $106.28 per barrel, and $106.01 per barrel respectively for the March 2023 fuel price review. These movements represent an increase of 5.27% for petrol and a reduction of 2.45% and 2.44% for diesel and kerosene respectively. Generally, international oil prices remained high during the month of February 2023. The sustained high oil prices are attributed to the combination of factors.
There you have it. Quite interesting stories there. We were zooming in. You too, our dear viewers, can give us your views on the stories we have just looked at, and as well as the topic of discussion there. Interestingly, Madam Kalimbula, UPND victims of violence are getting help from the diaspora.
We hope that this help goes a long way in helping these people come out of it, because we've seen victims that will always come back, recurring victims. If I can use that word, where you help them today, tomorrow again they are back with the same situation. No, you know, but this is like to aid them continue with their economic life, and we hope that they will not come back and start siphoning resources from the guys in the diaspora using the party functionaries. However, that's their own business, but yeah, ours is just to highlight and tell the public that indeed something like this is happening, and we hope that everybody else who was found in such a fracas, political violence, will be helped in one way or the other. Otherwise, it's an issue where you help a fraction of them and leave the rest. Those that you've left will actually rise against those. You know how politics...
you are right on that, because one of the cutaways we used in the story to just depict what was happening prior to the elections is that one of that person who was shot in the stomach, and you remember we fought that case up to the court, and up to justice was saved. The perpetrator was taken to prison. However, we see that I recall that I did a story sometime, it should have been November or October, where I was saying that he hasn't been receiving help. However, I was assisted by one of the aspiring candidates, that's in Chawama Port Fatembo, if you remember. But it was just like just a keep up assistance.
Yes.
But however, I hope that this good initiative
from the party will be extended
to him, because
a lot of those that were affected. Equally, Patrick, I'm thinking this is on the party level, but there are those that died during the struggle. They call it the struggle. Those that died, I think their families deserve something.
Yeah,
from the party.
Right.
Of course, some cases are still in court. Others have actually been done away with at investigation stage, whatever. But the truth of the matter is that the party knows and understands that these were indeed our members. And those that they keep mentioning all the time when they're talking about how hard it was for them to transition into where they are today, they'll keep mentioning some of the names, like they will mention Mapenzi, they'll mention Lawrence, they'll mention those they know. So please, it would be nice if they extended this to their surviving family members, because most of them were breadwinners, like the one who died together with Samansama. In December 2020, was it 2019?
Yes.
Yes. So it was a sad situation. Is it Kaunda or something?
Lawrence Kaunda. Is it Grace Kaunda? The other one was Lawrence Banda, isn't it?
I think so.
That one is Lawrence Kaunda.
The Lawrence is a very common name.
Yes, yeah.
In the UPND. So yeah, that one really was their member and was there because of them, and found himself in such a predicament. And his family, was a breadwinner. He left behind a wife, children. We covered the story, Patrick, till the latter. The matter, of course, is in court. But the ones that have remained really need something from the party. It doesn't have to wait for the court processes to be done.
Yes, they need assistance, because, you know, to sustain yourself, like that other man who can no longer do pieceworks, because he cannot do hard work. So it hard labor. So it becomes difficult for him to earn a living, and he has children. So those are the consequences of political violence. If you see, it really deprives
people of their right to live and fully function.
And sometimes families end up losing a breadwinner,
exactly,
which is not a good scenario there. And we are looking at also the issue of the fuel pump price. Should we increase once and for all and forget, or we should continue with this piecemeal?
You know, I'm for the view of that, because you can't keep making people feel as if they are on a roller coaster. Today they're at least so like two months consecutively, Patrick, they have increased the fuel pump prices. We don't know what will happen next month. Maybe they will massage us this month, actually, on the last day. Maybe they will massage us and they will remove 15 gwe or 1 kwacha or something like that. But you know what? It's better if like for me, really, if they were to ask me. That is my opinion and not the station's opinion. So, as Sharon Kalimbola, please increase the fuel prices at once and let people cry for once, like you say, like they mourn for once instead of them mourning every month. Though I'm not sure that is the correct word that you used.
I can imagine. I have a colleague who just had to park the vehicle because a liter is just not, it's too expensive for him. If you look at it's almost 30 kwacha per liter, because 29, 29, 28, 29, it's still high. So if you look at him, he's been spending quite a lot of money, and he had no option but to leave the vehicle. You understand? So to just walk or get on a bus. You understand? So those are the challenges that are coming with this and this unpredictable scenario of monthly review of fuel pump prices, and us even as consumers, commuters, who equally feel the same the same pain in terms of when the bus fares are adjusted upwards, and we continue to see that the bus operators, the bus conductors are in a hurry, and you cannot negotiate when you're coming from the CBD home. So, but at least when you're coming from home, you can negotiate.
But from the central business district,
you can't. So yeah, it's quite difficult
to pay the rate at which they've pegged all these routes on. However, we are having a conversation this morning with you on whether government should increase the fuel pump prices at once so that people can brace themselves for times that will be attractive or indicative of the fuel pump prices, or should we continue on this trajectory of monthly reviews? You'll say is very important on this, and we surely hope that the authorities there are listening. Patrick's, one of the stories that we ran yesterday was the Chunga dump site story, where the residents of Chunga staged a protest over indiscriminate disposal of waste by garbage collectors at Chunga dump site. We were there, and Beatrice Charaya filed a report where she talked to different people, residents there. I don't even understand why people could be so close to the dump site. Patrick, you say that people followed that dump site.
Yeah.
But the situation is there. Let's look at the story.
Enough is enough is the new slogan for the residents of Chunga, as indiscriminate disposal of waste has continued to affect them. The residents have posed a vote of no confidence in the Lusaka City Council, accusing the local authority of failing to manage the infamous Chunga dump site. They opted to translate their anger into action by blocking hundreds of trucks from proceeding to the dump site. The residents hired an excavator using their resources to clear the affected roads, demanding that the council shows commitment to do things better. The residents have explained that garbage protruding from Chunga dump site has hindered their daily movements and businesses, as people have started staying away from any economic activities in Chunga.
yonse amaezi simu amene yanaliliswa bamakwanisa kupushinga nanga ino yecha kagabwanji tifuna che batandizireko batileteko magreda kuti bashite bwanji batikirinire batitechobokirina baleteko benango kuti batikirinireko chape.
They have since appealed to the relevant authorities to act on the matter, stating that if not handled, more protests will be staged.
So tufuna wa president banyamukepo bativeko chifundo. That's why se bazimaita nyamuka. Pene basati yankira pete chokera pano. Ngati ni 1 week itizangala. Ni same. Nene chifili pamene. Wagwala uku Jairia sisi na bana. Mlandu wa vishara vitasa spray wachitapa vikono. Hao salema wanditisamba goma tandizire kuita. Hata vishara.
Meanwhile, Lusaka City Council Director Public Health Victor Kagoli has assured to address the matter.
Community concerns are true. We have put an intervention from today onwards that the road will not be littered. We have planted the police, the council police, to ensure that everyone is directed to be 24 hours operation. And like the way we will knock off maybe at 20 hours, we have observed that the disposal continues even at late hours when everyone else has knocked off. It is manageable. As we speak, we are going to address the community to reassure them of these interventions, and that we are also pulling, the road was some kind of 3-4 ways, but it has narrowed to one way.
Beatrice Chabaya, Camnet News, Lusaka.
There you have it, heaps
of garbage.
But according to Patrick, that area is supposed to have companies that are recycling and not supposed
but
to
why,
be a
according to
residential
me?
area. That is a conversation we had. Sorry, I'm bringing it out here. But you said, who knows?
Okay, yeah. Okay, under normal circumstances, that area is not habitable.
No, it's not.
If you look at the stench which is coming from the dump site, if you stand that and be able to eat in Shima,
then you can go to Iraq and fight.
Imagine. That's the befitting description, because the area is just, if you are coming from the dump site, you are literally a dump site.
Exactly.
Because you cannot sit amongst your colleagues, because you will be smelling of that of the rubbish of
the everything that's
everything that is there. So
it just takes a lot.
So now you can imagine you build a house just around the dump site. It's quite delicate.
You wear a mask, like the stench is just beyond human comprehension. I wonder how people manage. However, different situations lead us into different situations to keep up with putting bread and butter on our table. So yeah, residents there were complaining and protested against the Lusaka City Council for failure to manage the situation. Let's speak this call and talk to our first caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
How are you?
I'm okay.
All right, tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm Mr. Chancellor from Lusaka.
Okay, Mr. Chancellor, go ahead.
Mr. Chancellor, Lusaka.
Okay,
yes,
you can go ahead, sir.
We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Hello, Mr. Chancellor, are you there?
Okay.
I think,
yeah, I think network-related issues. Yeah, but you can still try to keep calling us and let's have a conversation on this important issue. Each one of us is affected in one way or the other, whether you drive or not. I know one of the reasons that was given by one of the government officials was like, the people that are complaining to say fuel are the ones who have cars, and the majority of the people don't even have cars and they're not complaining, forgetting that those same people who don't have cars use public transport, and the fuel increment actually fuses into a lot of sectors. I'm not sure what kind of thinking that was, where you say, who are the majority Zambians are not even complaining. Or like, are you serious? Those are situations that say, really? And then I go quiet because what you're saying does not make logical sense.
Yeah, you are right, because fuel cuts across the sectors.
Thing.
So now there's no, because the person who produces goods will tell you to say, for me to transport these goods from my industry to your community, I need fuel. So I will transfer the cost to you as the consumer. So what do you mean when you say it only affects those who have vehicles?
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, fuel is an important factor of production. So if it increases, it tends to reflect in every other commodity. So I think, for me, I think The monthly review has been talked about by various stakeholders. Many stakeholders have been of a view that probably we give it a 6-month review period, even a quarterly basis, as opposed to a monthly aspect. I think that undermines the planning process of various institutions. But however, I was also surprised that the Minister of Energy recently. Okay, I'll pick it up from there.
Don't forget your thought. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Mwanga bwanji.
Bwino mwagwa bwanji.
Bwino.
Tikamba na bandani.
Mukama na wa Boston kuliranda.
Wa Boston kuliranda mungatipaseko ma views yani.
Oh, vamenda kembe ungania mabina ya. Mukama na wa Boston kuliranda.
Yes, Mr. Boston, go ahead. Give us your contribution.
Amabina kuli umarapo basya drama kali gotu kusoma na mshahara leo wengine kamdatu marapo so after 2021 banabo sia sia mrodi never na kama mimi wamene so kama sika hivi bila utezianga so za kwanza kwanza kiboma yaangalia kwa hiyo kidapo upande ni boza boma inakuwa yanga na bandi boma sasa yanga na economy yanga na ubiero Mami mabini amewasila dawa murode boma yangalia. Wazika wasili yasi. Boma zanga na usisema basika kwa yanga na tenu mabini. Debe zingine kamkati. Hapa kwa na mboti ya pale. Bale tutali ngesa. Baro tunate kuona ngazina ya mkatawe na kwa kilo. Ukati aona mabini. Manje mtu asito kwa mimi na asito kwa kontra ngani mabini na maweza zwali. Bamene ba marapo ya niwa na probo bamene ba tsayizo kwa ziko plot kutama kiso mtezezi.
Okay. Ziko wa Boston waleta view ya mushe Sharon wakambati ma transporters wasiya munjila like it's okay if as long as I dump my waste what happens is none of my business.
Yeah.
Because if you see the road we were using going to the dump site there, it could show you the trace of the garbage that it was all over the road. So it's like they stopped going further into the dump site and just dumping everything just along the way and along the drainages.
Yeah, where we had parked that black stuff.
Everything there that was affected. So you see, it means the vehicles could not even pass there to go to the dump site to go inside. So that's where the problem is. I think for me, it's a waste management problem that the Lusaka City Council has to address, because I hear we have council officers, police officers. What do they do? Can't you? I think 10 people can man that facility. But now it becomes a den of criminal activities.
Yeah.
Because only criminals have access to it. So they steal from the community. Most of they go
there to sort whatever they've
So now if they cross the road, even those women and men who have who do recycling activities there are being hindered to access the drainage, the dump site. You understand? Because we understand there are a lot of cooperatives that pick a lot of waste from there for recycling purposes. But however, that same process was also undermined the cleaning, the recycling industry, because the dump site is not properly managed, and the waste. You see, in other countries or other places, we talk about, for example, waste that is plastic waste should be separated at source. But if you see, the local authority has not done enough to make sure that that is done or achieved in various communities. So you would wonder to say, waste management, which waste do you manage?
Yeah.
If you understand. But if people, what, this is where we continue to see that if authorities fail to provide a service, people always chip in and do their own things.
Exactly.
You understand? That's where we saw this. That's what we saw yesterday, because they literally blocked the road and they vowed not to move and make sure that the right thing is done. And they wanted assurances from the Lusaka City Council to show how are they going to manage the facility going forward. But you'd see those transporters, those waste management companies were moving aimlessly, dumping everywhere. So that's a problem. But who should supervise them? So it seems that there's lack of supervision, and people are doing as they please, and that's where we are at the moment.
Indeed, Patrick, very elaborate there. Let's pick this call and talk to our viewer. Hello, good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
How are you? You can go. Your name and where you're calling us from. Is it anonymous?
Hello?
Your name and where you are calling us, sir.
Okay. This is the man that
Okay. Go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Okay. So, bantu okwaikanira kuno kale samunakumakuminisobulani abantu abalanga jasaidi basangire kuno inendesana pamutuwakaleko damusaidi sakwani italiko hospital yobaliko kubalabilimpo Maybe afterwards, you know, coming out of the afterwards, you know,
Okay,
the line was
also we had the point though, but he's saying the dump site found the people there and not the other way around.
The few people, the few people there. Not
But there was no
everyone,
dump
but
site there,
because
according to him.
But it is one of the gazetted dump site.
Yes.
And it has parameters.
And you know
But
how the
if you
council
see-
operates? When they see something, people have started something, they'll come in and gazette it.
Yes,
So,
that's
yeah,
the way they
maybe
do.
right in a way.
Yeah, so that's the aspect. But you see, the area has been growing. Population has been growing. You could see new structures, isn't it? The way some houses are not very close to the dump site. You understand? There are some houses in development that started recently and not too long ago, just along the dump site. But however, and the dump site has also been expanding, and it
Indeed.
is going to the people's houses. And
Unfortunately.
yeah, unfortunately, it is expanding, and indiscriminate disposal is the major problem, because it is behind the expansion. So if you look again, also waste recycling communities there are within the premises. So some garbage is also, you know, you have to. I'm your neighbor, and you are managing the waste. I have to endure the stench as well.
Indeed. Let's also look
all
at one
those
of the
things, all
stories.
those challenges that come.
Indeed.
But I think we need to be an organized a city, in that there should be designated areas for everything. An area where there's just waste management issues, even recycling companies should be at
Far
the
from
same
the people.
at the same section, and also those. But you see, if you look at our city, it's a mess, and this rainy season has really exposed us. If you see how waste is mixing with fecal matter, with drinking water, well, something else.
Please end it there.
Yeah,
Opposition
we'll end it
leadership
there.
movement has charged that there is nothing exciting about relegating public service provision to the private sector in the case of the construction of the Lusaka Ndola dual carriageway. The government signed a concession agreement for the public-private partnership project for the upgrading of the dual carriageway of 327 kilometers of Lusaka-Ndola Road, including rehabilitation of the 45 kilometers of Luansha-Fisenge-Masangano Road in Central and Copperbelt provinces. But Dr. Silombe says it is irresponsible for the government to subject citizens to more taxes through road tolling. He feels the government is failing to take charge of public service provision. Let's look at the stories as we also delve into some of the stories in the courtroom.
The public-private partnership model for the construction of the Lusaka-Ndola Road, including rehabilitation of Ruwansha, Fisenga-Masangano roads in Central and Copperbelt provinces, has been said to be a game changer for financing road projects in the country. Macro Oceans Investment Limited will be in charge of the road for 25 years, but the government will also have a stake on revenue. During the signing ceremony of the Memorandum of Understanding on Tuesday, Finance Minister Tumbeko Msokotwane indicated that the government has done what other governments failed to do.
They left empty coffers. So if you left empty coffers, how do you expect the government of the day to finance this?
However, Opposition Leadership Movement President Dr. Richard Silumbe feels it is not a good idea to relegate government obligation to run state infrastructure to the private sector.
We expected the New Dawn government to be helping the Zambian people to thrive in this difficult economy and not to give up on public infrastructure and give room to the private sector to run those systems, public infrastructure, as profit-making. And this is very dangerous because we are putting the future generation into unnecessary debt. Imagine you give up on an infrastructure like a road for 25 years, and that itself is actually selling the future of the Zambian people. We do not like these policies because these policies eventually they will transform into abusive way of dealing with the public.
Dr. Silumbe says subjecting citizens to more taxes through road tolling is not ideal.
Disappointed with the fact that the New Dawn government is not taking serious responsibility of what it should be delivering to the Zambian people. We expect public infrastructure to be run by the Zambians and through the government and not to be relegated to the private sector, because when you do that, you are going to subject the public to more abuse, payment of tariffs, payments of toll gates that are unimaginable, because the private sector is interested in profits, whilst government is there to provide service to the people. So this is very bad, and we do not actually support it.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Tomorrow, the 2nd of March 2023, former Minister of Defense Geoffrey Mwamba will take the stand and open his defense in the alleged corruption-related case that is facing before the subordinate court in Lusaka. The accused, who served as minister under the late President Michael Sata, stand charged with 24 counts, among them being in possession of property suspected of being proceeds of crime involving millions of kwacha. Wednesday morning, the accused was set to open his defense, however applied for an adjournment through his lawyers on ground that he needs to peruse through the documentary exhibit produced in his case. He is of the view that this will help him to adequately prepare for his defense. Lusaka Magistrate Stanford Ngobola, who is presiding over his case, has granted his application in the interest of justice. The former defense minister was arrested in June 2022 by a joint investigation team and slapped with 8 counts of conflict of interest, contrary to Section 28(2) as read with subsection 3 of the Anti-Corruption Commission Act No. 3 of 2012, and 15 counts of being in possession of property suspected of being proceeds of crime, contrary to Section 71, subsection 1 of the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crime Act No. 19 of 2010. Before the court found him with a case to answer and placed him on his defense last month, the court had heard evidence from 22 state prosecution witnesses. The accused is being tried under the Specialized Economic Financial Crimes Court. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News. The debate on whether a former head of state's immunity extends to criminal investigations, searches and seizures continues before the Constitutional Court. In the latest submission before the Constitutional Court, Zambia Community Development Initiative Program, through its Managing Director, Hendrix Nyambe, has submitted that a former head of state is closed with immunity, hence cannot be subjected to harassment or have his property seized. In this matter, the organization has rushed to the Constitutional Court, contesting the action by the Drug Enforcement Commission to search former President Edgar Lungu's property without lifting of his immunity by Parliament. It contends that the action by DEC are illegal and a disregard of Mr. Lungu's right, immunity, status and standing. Hence, seeks the Constitutional Court interpretation of the extent of the immunity of the President. In the previous submission, the organization, through its Managing Director, had contended that the case was properly before the Constitutional Court, as there is need for interpretation as to whether the immunity of the former President does extend to the investigation wings of government, such as DEC, and is a subject of criminal investigations. However, the Drug Enforcement Commission, through its Senior Investigations Officer, Emmanuel Kondoe, has argued that there is no law which provides for the lifting of immunity of a person who once held office of president or performed executive functions before conducting investigations on them, stating that the seizure of any assets belonging to a former head of state before lifting of the immunity is part of the investigations process. In their further submission, the Commission says the seizure of 2 properties for the former head of state during the verification exercise was part of the investigation, and subsequently the seizure was lifted through the Director General, who is closed with authority to lift such a seizure. The Commission has since urged the court to dismiss the case, arguing that it did not in any way contravene the provision of Article 98, 4 and 5 of the Constitution, as the Act relates to investigations, not criminal proceedings, when it went to conduct a verification exercise on the property of the former head of state. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Living in a wonderful country full of opportunities for investment in property. Make sure your investment is guaranteed. Are you in the process of buying or selling land or properties? Don't waste your time and money. Contact SGK Property Company on 0966 610755 or 0762 166018. SGK, a company that will conduct due diligence for you before you purchase any property. Go for a tried and tested genuine company in Zambia. SGK Property Consultants.
Welcome back. So you are still watching the Camnet Breakfast Show, Thursday edition, Governance and Policy and Politics, with me, Patrick Soko, and Shalon Kalimbula on the other chair. and we've been discussing various stories that were making the headlines in the Camnet news. One of the stories that has attracted the interest of the viewers is the story pertaining to the Chunga dam site.
The Chunga dam site and its management, Patrick, and we continue to wonder how people are surviving there. In case you know what happened exactly, you know the history of this dam site, you will do well to call us and let's have a conversation. Educate us on whether people occupied that area first on the dam site. Because personally, for me, I'm wondering how people will be given plots near a dam site. It's supposed to be, I'm going to talk about a dam site that is in Chirondo. Yes, at some point we had gone with the Zambia Revenue Authority to dispose of some of the products that they get from, and among them were beers, you know, the alcoholic beverages that were smuggled into the country. And the dam site is quite far from the people, like beyond.
Yeah, because
you have to go literally inside. Quite alright, maybe somebody would say no, because the population there is small, but no. The normal thing to do is that the dam site is supposed to be far from people, so that the stage, the burning, because sometimes they burn. They burn those stuff, they things get rotten, you know, and they diffuse into the, so there's just a combination, like a cocktail of bad smells, you know, that may be harmful to the human body, like the smoke, you know. So it needs to be far from the people, so that whatever activity is happening there does not disadvantage the people residing in the area there.
You mentioned important. You mentioned the important things, environmental issues.
Yes.
Because if you see, why I'm telling you, there might have been housing development when the dam site was there. Like our previous caller indicated, sometime in 2005, when he was giving us that background. There are some houses that were a distant. You understand?
At least far.
They were far. But you know what population growth has done is that it has created informal settlements. So there is rapid urbanization. And rapid urbanization is affecting the city of Lusaka. It is choking. Most people are coming from rural parts of the country to seek employment, to seek opportunities in the greater city of Lusaka. So you'd find that that's where even the emergence of Chiworia and Kanyama Township, they continue to expand. In case you have observed, it is the same with the area around the dam site. That population around that area, that community, has been growing. And also, you see, anyway, I'm seeing a bare land here. Let me put my house. I also put the next one, up to the next one.
Up to the
and
next
we eventually we are very close. Yes, to the dam side. You understand?
Because what
but there was housing development, but not to that extent.
As
because
yes,
because for the Lusaka City Council to gazette that as a dump site, you mentioned the one aspect of the stench that comes around that area is not good for health. There's also open air burning there that happens at the dump site. So you discover that people are affected. So you may see a rise, you see an escalation of respiratory diseases. So those diseases, to avoid that, that's why like you put it in where you went to, the dump site is far from the main residential areas. So that's the ideal situation, because if you see again, the aspect of flooding tends to get the contaminated water from the dam site into the community, because again we are affected by a poor lack of drainage or poor drainage systems. So most of these waters that are contaminated with whatever is at the landfill, at the dam site, you find that they enter into the communities, and people continue to step on that water. So what do you expect? So those are unhealthy conditions that the local authority has to look at. And we saw that the Department of Public Health under the Lusaka City Council did go to the side, because that's a public health issue. It has everything to do with public health. So we have to continuously evolve and look around these issues. Is there a way that they could
probably identify another location?
Identification of another location is important, but I certainly know that it wouldn't be within the vicinity of Lusaka. It has to be to nearby towns like Chongwe, like
Chisamba.
Chisamba, like Kafue, because Lusaka has no land. If you look at the way it is at the moment, we are also in short supply of land for burial spaces. So we cannot even manage to dignify bury our loved ones in a dignified manner, because there is literally no space. The space that is there is just rationing, and where you see there's a little bit of space where there were some passages where people used to pass, they are giving out as burial space. But if you look, we have been talking about the story pertaining to lack of burial space for a long time. Even under the Patriotic Front, this was a prominent issue. If you look at what we have done up to now, we have done absolutely nothing. So if you look at it, there is actually an urgent need for us as a country to reflect on country or town planning, to ensure that we are able to ensure that service provision is enhanced. We are also ensure that we are able to ensure that things are done in a systematic manner. So that's my perspective on that, if you ask.
Indeed, and one of those residents that we spoke to yesterday on the issue of Chunga, they said the garbage is actually going into the grave as well, the Chungweri gravesite.
Yes.
Even there, people have started dumping whatever they can dump there, because they're failing to enter into the main dump site, which is a sorry site and something that should not be condoned at all costs. We surely hope that as of today, the council will sit down with the community-based enterprises, the CBEs, that are mandated to collect garbage in various areas to take to the dump site, so that they can find a lasting solution. Because the main issue was that these CBEs are just dumping anywhere and everywhere around that area, and not inside where they're supposed to do that. Hence the garbage overflowing into people's houses, especially that it's the rain season. I mean, the water, Lusaka being a flooded area all the time, you know, it experiences perennial floods. You find that all the garbage will seep into yards, the mess, the diapers for the children, you know, you would even think our parents were doing fine by washing our nappies. Because these diapers have become a total nuisance to the... It's just a mess, you know. It's just a mess. You find that in some areas, people, there are 3-4 families in one yard. They all have babies, you know. It's just a mess altogether. However, we surely hope that a consensus has been reached and advice has been given to the people that are into garbage collection, and everything has been settled so that the situation can return to normalcy around that area. However, we still zoom into one of the stories that we carried yesterday, where some residents of Lusaka's Libala South have accused the power utility company ZESCO of failing to respond to an emergency call in which ZESCO live cables had been cut after a tree fell on them. We'll pick up from that. Let's pick this call first. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Can you tell us your name and where you're calling from?
Thank you so much. This is the voice of Manchester. Professor, good morning.
Good morning, the voice of Munali.
Thank you so much.
All right.
To make that the garden that would be flooding where this is not a people who are supposed to bring insanity or to rectify what the situation is like. So for me, I've always been very, very clear that let the local government also the area council and the southern, you know, we cannot continue having a situation where garbage is literally almost everywhere. Not too long ago, we complained about the increment of the minimum wage. And we are there complaining about what let's see on the tree. And you can see the way she's not putting up, so she's not doing the right for things. People are now waking up. You want to just in the okay, you know, warming up the chairs. I think you're beginning what the government wants to go in what the head of state. So for me, I think I would still ask the head of state to make sure that some of these people they actually suffer. They are not actually what they share. that other now is a critic. Professor, have a better day. Madam, have a better day.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, the voice of Manali there.
I think we've missed Anonymous.
Anonymous and Reverend Manduli.
Reverend Manduli and the man from Livingston.
Yes, especially the man from Livingston.
The man from Livingston, it's been quite a while. I think he's in the field right now, obviously trying to do one or two things.
Sure, yeah,
I'm sure he'll send us some maize.
Some maize, yeah, he's a farmer.
During the harvest season, that's April, hopefully. Not Ishao Masana. You know, the soft ones, bring for us. Send for us on a bus. We'll collect here from the station.
Yeah. So
however, this is what we are talking about this morning. And the topic is actually scrolling on your screens, but it's been diverted because people's attention have been tilted towards the Chunga dam site. However, let's also look at one of the stories that we carried yesterday where residents of Kamala South, is it Libala South, were complaining that ZESCO has neglected them after they reported a matter of live cables that had a tree fall on and cut. And we'll also look at the same story from Chunga to refresh our memories in case you are just joining us. Let's play these two stories back to back.
A distress call by the residents of Lusaka's Libala South Kapoli Street to the power utility company ZESCO to come to their aid after some ZESCO cables fell due to the impact caused by a tree that fell on them proved to have fallen on deaf ears as the power utility company failed to respond to the call on time. 3 hours after the incident, the power utility company was nowhere to be seen, and the resident raised concerns as to why the power utility company failed to respond to such a distress call. School-going children were also at risk, which prompted the community to act by directing some children to avoid using the road while they waited for ZESCO to show up.
This cable, as you can see, is lying in between of the road. So the school boys and girls are passing here. Others, they're not aware of electricity, so they don't know the dangers. But when you look at this, it's a danger to someone's life. Then you look this other side, all the cables, you can see the other side. So this is a danger. We've tried to cause this. When you go in the house there, when you touch anything, stove, yagwira maraiti. Yagwira maraiti. Kuliko sikama gwira maraiti throughout shabe live. So we don't know what ZESCO is going to do about it. I don't know what time they're going to come because we are so concerned. Now we will have to stand here to be telling people not to pass here. This is an emergency whereby people, just from our neighbor there, the other one has been electrocuted.
Others are equally disappointed with the utility company and has wondered why ZESCO takes too long to respond to emergencies.
Cooking. I just felt power like in my hands. That's how I left the pot, then I came out. Then when I came out, I found people checking this side. That's how they told me that the tree has fallen on the cables, power ZESCO cable. Very dangerous because the cable is just lying there. So people passing and then some vehicles pass this side. So we need...
Currently we have a disaster. It's unfortunate that such a thing has happened, but these are the things that happen. You can imagine a whole tree dropping power poles. What are we going to do?
An effort made by this reporter to contact ZESCO Corporate Affairs Manager Karisto Chitamfia proved futile as his phone went unanswered while the lives of these residents remained at risk. Prudence Tota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Enough is enough is the new slogan for the residents of Chunga as indiscriminate disposal of waste has continued to affect them. The residents have posed a vote of no confidence in the Lusaka City Council, accusing the local authority of failing to manage the infamous Chunga dam site. They opted to translate their anger into action by blocking hundreds of trucks from proceeding to the dump site. The residents hired an excavator using their resources to clear the affected roads, demanding that the council shows commitment to do things better. The residents have explained that garbage protruding from Chunga dam site has hindered their daily movements and businesses as people have started staying away from any economic activities in Chunga.
ndayonse amaezi simu amene yanaliliswa bamakwanisa kupushinga nanga ino yecha kaga branch tifuna che batandizireko batiretereko magreda kuti bachite branch batikirinire batitechobokirina baleteko benango kuti batikirinireko chabe.
They have since appealed to the relevant authorities to act on the matter, stating that if not handled, more protests will be staged.
So tufuna wa president banyamukepo bativeko chifundo. That's why se bazimaita nyamuka. Bene basatiyankira betza chokera pano. Ngati ni 1 week itizankala. The same. Nene chifili pamene bagwala uku kaya sisi na bana. Mlandu wa kishara bijasa
Meanwhile, Lusaka City Council Director Public Health Victor Kagoli has assured to address the matter.
Community concerns are true. We have put an intervention from today onwards that the road will not be littered. We have planted the police, the council police, to ensure that everyone is directed to be 24 hours operation. And like the way we will knock off maybe at 20 hours, we have observed that the disposal continues even at late hours when everyone else has knocked off. It is manageable. As we speak, we are going to address the community to reassure them of these interventions, and that we are also pulling the road was some kind of 3-4 ways, but it has narrowed to 1 way.
Beatrice Chabaya, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Well, there you have it. Quite interesting stories there, and the story pertaining to the aspect of Kamwala South there in terms of ZESCO issues, load shedding, rather the cables that are
live cables that are fallen because a tree fell on them, and then they are just on the road. Quite dangerous there, and it can just be dangerous to children, especially school-going children. They may never know, and they get excited. Pupils, even when they're in grade 12, you can think at Wakulu, but they just get excited overly, they may see that
children
cable, they think it's from where, they'll jump on it, and then something happens.
And at night, it's just a risk. For example, you may just decide to use the same road, and you are not aware, and something can happen. So I think the matter should be treated with the agency it deserves, because those are matters ZESCO say they treat with agency, especially sparks, lines on the ground. But you see, it's not like the ZESCO we know. And on the other side, and the other hand, I think that's why people are actually mourning the departure of Wenika Pata from ZESCO, because he would make an effort to call back.
He would call back, and he was very swift at it. He was giving hope to the people. Yeah, I think we should campaign for him to come back. Let's see what we can do about it.
Maybe it needs to come back.
Yeah, I think
because there's no way you're going to save into that in that office. And don't pick calls.
Don't retain calls.
And don't retain calls.
As if you're the most busy human being, no director.
And you're working for a government institutions that has to attend to national matters on a daily basis. I think we need to be serious as a country. No wonder when we're talking about productivity levels being low, it's because of attitudes like this.
Even people not understanding what public relations is, really. Because public relations is basically an interface between that institution and the public that you're serving. So if you're going to be acting like an engineer who is not a public relations, then you don't deserve to be in that office.
Exactly.
Because an engineer, a lawyer, and whatever, they've got their own departments and they know. But when you've been placed into the public relations department, you need to understand that I am the bridge. And if you're blocking people from reporting on issues that are affecting them, then you don't deserve to be there. That's just it. That's
well
just
said,
it.
Madam.
You have to pretend in the public relations department, even if you're not a good person, you pretend to be nice. Because you're saving people.
People, like you are saying, people need hope. Because I remember we have done quite a number of stories that where we have seen people being affected by these short circuit, these issues of high voltage. People have been able to to talk with Mr. Kapata. Mr. Kapata has been able to say, okay, if there's this emergency, call me. You know, there's this aspect to say, okay, we are attending to this matter, or let me consult with the office in that region that is attending to that matter. But you discover that others are just keep quiet and pretend to be the busiest. Well, that's not good for government service provision.
No, it's not, Patrick. People need to be aware. Even if it's a private entity, even if it's just a contender or what, you know, if you know that you've been placed in that office,
you're a face.
Can you perform the functionaries of that office? If you know you can't, let go, because you're failing the institution. We're not going to be pleading for people who are getting paid using taxpayers' money, which we are contributing.
Exactly. Interesting. In case you still want to give us that call, you can do so and give us your perspective on the stories we're zooming in. Quite a number of stories, even stories from the court and stories pertaining to the issue of waste management. How is waste management, how is the issue being addressed in your area in terms of waste management? Because like where I come from, even in Chawama, you'd see that waste management, Sharon, is really a big problem in terms of, you know, it is also the aspect of people also failing to subscribe to service to those CBEs. But however, there's also a concern that some CBEs are not that responsive, and some CBEs just come and start operating without even calling for a community meeting. You know, sometimes it's important to just call for a meeting and engage the people, so that people can understand what you want to bring across. To say, okay, this organization
is how much
is working with the council, and you'll be paying this much. But you know what? If you cannot manage to pay in cash, what about if we are making you to pay this on a monthly basis? You know, people would be able to understand the importance.
On a monthly basis. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, thank you. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
This is Brighton calling you within Lusaka.
Okay, go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, especially the issue of the death for city here.
Yes.
They should bring back the NKP.
Okay.
The NKP used to handle that issue of the shedding and other very well. So they have to bring it back. Otherwise, if the death go, they are going to have a lot of problems with the future. Yes, that is my contribution.
All right.
Thank you very much.
That is our last caller, Patrick. We are closing the show, isn't it?
Interesting.
Great stuff. Thank you so much to everybody who called us, everybody who tuned in to watch from the terraces. Hopefully next time you'll be able to pick that call, that phone, and dial the numbers that are always scrolling on your screen and have your voice heard on this platform. Otherwise, we zoomed into some of the stories that made headlines. We also looked at how the Kwacha is faring against the major convertibles. We looked at the health corner as well as the morning boost. In case you are just joining us, you've missed quite a lot, but you can still catch up through our socials, that's YouTube and Facebook.
Interesting. So from me, Patrick Soko and Sharon Kalimbula, it will be next week when we come on Wednesday with another interesting episode of the Camnet Breakfast, Governance, Politics and Policy. Keep it on Camnet TV because you know yourselves that Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Thank you so much for watching. Good morning.